Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Joel. I'm now a graduate nurse from Imperial Valley College and an ER nurse. And for today's video, it's going to be tips for the NCLEX. Now the first thing that I will be is like having at least an idea or like a plan or a schedule of what you want to do. So for me at least, I wouldn't even care about studying for the NCLEX until I graduated. It was actually like 1 week and a half after I graduated. That's when I started like looking, and I bought the wouldve. But thanks to a program that is linked with our college, with the nursing program, we were like reimbursed what we paid for the wouldve. So that was pretty cool. But I graduated June 9th, and then 2 weeks later, one week and a half later, that's when I started like actually working towards my NCLEX. And I wasn't working hard. I wasn't even working like 1 hour a day. I was pretty much going over questions. The least I could do in a day were like 30 questions, and the max could be like 70 or 80. That was my view, because I wanted to take the NCLEX not as soon as possible, but at least with enough time that I knew I wouldn't lag it. So I could have, when we graduated, we couldn't register for the NCLEX. We were just waiting for the thumbs up, you know, for us to do it. So we literally had to wait a whole month after we graduated. I think it was like July 9th or 12th that we actually got like, okay, thumbs up, now you can schedule it. So since then I had already like done some questions. I probably had done like over 400 questions or 300 questions in wouldve, and wouldve comes with like 2200 questions. So, you know, in a month that's little questions, being honest, but I was just going my rhythm. You know, I was just doing whenever I was in the toilet, or whenever I was, you know, having free time, I guess, or whenever I was at work and there were like no patients or no updates on the patients. So whenever I had like breaks, I would do it. Because I always thought like, well, I cannot even schedule it, so there's really no point for me to go hardcore or do like 200 questions a day, because I don't know when I'm gonna take it. And when I finally got the heads up and everything and I schedule it, it could either be on August 3rd, 10th, or 20 something. So I was like, if it's 20 something, I feel like I'm lagging it too much. 3rd, it's too soon. So 10, since that was Messi's number in Barcelona, I was like, you know, it's gonna be my lucky number. So I went for the 10th. So overall I had 3 weeks to study, like almost exactly 3 weeks. So then I was like, all right, so we had to take it a little bit more seriously. So then after I had my actual day, that's when I started like taking it more seriously. I started doing like probably like 100 questions a day, maximum 110 or 120. I really wouldn't push it too much, but I would always focus on doing questions, whether it's because they're separate in areas like cardiology, cardio, med surg, peds, whatever you want to, like all the categories are divided. So you have like multiple questions for each one. So I would always go with the unanswered portion where you can click and then do like 15 questions of leadership or something. You just go with leadership. If no, we just go from there. And that was pretty convenient. And I would just like remember the rationales, and then you have like 2 practice exams. So I took like the first practice exam without doing anything, without any questions, to see what was my baseline. And I was like a borderline. It said like you can barely pass it. And I was like, well, that seems kind of fair, knowing that I haven't done anything, so that's cool. And then when I started doing questions and everything, and I took the second one, I got like a good chance of passing. So I was like, I guess that's good. So yeah, I mean that's how I started going. I wouldn't really feel confident per se, because it's like this test or this wouldve doesn't mean necessarily that those are going to be the questions. I guess like as long as I get the concept, I'll be good. And yeah, that was pretty much it. You know, that was my message towards myself whenever I feel encouraged or unencouraged, pretty much. It's like, you just get the concept, get the concept. Doesn't matter how many you get wrong. Like I wouldn't even be in a question for more than 40 seconds. It'll be like, you know it or you don't know it, and that's it, you know. And it tells you right off the bat when you got it right or you got it wrong, like right off the bat. So I would be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So, and it's like all the apply, that's when it would be like iffy, because I'll be like, I know these 3 are it, but the 4th one I'm not sure, and I wouldn't pick it, and it would be, you know, I'll be like, what? But then I will learn. Especially because I was like frustrated that I didn't pick it. So I'll be like, okay, it makes sense. So I will go from there and just doing that. And the second thing would be like managing your time each day. So at least like having a scheduled time to do stuff, or at least like very early in the morning or whatever you want. But yeah, like the main point is like at least have a plan and have a schedule of what you want to do. Because if you don't have a clear plan, at least for me, it was like I didn't really have like a map to where I want to go. Like I need to have like a set plan, how many questions you're going to do, and you can even be more specific into what type of questions, you know, cardiology, peds, near med surg, psych, OB, you know, be more specific into what you want to do, and try and space it out during the day. You know, don't just be like, okay, 2 hours straight UWorld, and that's it. You know, try to separate like 30 minutes in the morning, 35 minutes or 1 hour in the afternoon, and then 1 hour in the evening. You try and separate it a little bit more so you can have like more of your own time. And the third one would be still have a life, have daily activities. You know, go to the gym, go out with your friends. You know, and there you can already have a reward. Like, okay, if I study for 1 hour and a half, or I do like 100 questions, then my reward is gonna be going out with my friends. You know, having like that type of mentality for you to have like a prize or a reward after you're done. And you'll feel even more amazing once you're with your friends, because now you wouldn't feel as guilty being there because you actually did your stuff for the day. And that's cool. And then the other tip I have is like, don't try and overload your day. So if you messed up in day 1 and you want to compensate day 2 by doing double the work, I wouldn't really recommend that. Because then on day 3 you're gonna be lazy, because you're gonna be like, no, like day 2 was not really good because I had to like to multitask or do more stuff, so I don't want to do it. So just like do the same type of questions you would do for each day, and don't try and like overcompensate for another day that you didn't do good questions. And just let it go. Like, at least, but it is what it is. You know, there's times where we really don't want to do anything, and it's cool, it's fine. But yeah, and then the other tip that I have is like during little breaks that you have, try and do questions. Whether you're in the toilet, where you're at work and there's like nothing going on, the UWorld app has a thing on the phone and on the iPad and on your tablet or whatever you have, where, you know, it's pretty much like unexcusable for you to do no questions. You know, when we're in the toilet, we're literally there like for 15 minutes. So if you can do like 5 questions every time you're in the toilet, you know, you're probably going to be doing like 40 questions per day just in the toilet. And just doing like 5 and just answer them, and okay, and then now you can go to Facebook, Instagram, whatever you want. So that'll be nice for me, because I'll actually get like a lot of questions there. So yeah, or whenever I was waiting like for stuff, whether it's like Starbucks or something, and I'm just waiting there in line, I could just be like doing UWorld. You know, just get little bits of time, and that's like less time that you have to do. Your goal is to do 100 questions, and you're doing like 40 questions on little breaks that don't really mean a lot, then you just have 60 questions left. You know, so try to like space it out if you can, and you're really not gonna feel it. The other tip that I have is don't expose yourself too much on others. I guess like that'll be a little bit better. Like, don't try and say like, oh, I'm studying for the UWorld and it's so complicated. Like, don't try and like expose your problems, because we normally tend to make our problems bigger than what they are. So don't try, like, I would feel like whenever I would say it to friends or family, like, oh yeah, like I'm studying for this and it's so complicated because, you know, I've been getting like a lot of them wrong and stuff. You know, I would just like feel like I'm putting myself down a little, because it's like, I don't know, I just felt like it would be like a little bit draining for me to be like just like complaining about stuff like that. So I would just be like, oh yeah, I'm studying and it's going well. You know, I wouldn't really say how I'm really doing, like, oh yeah, like out of 50 I'm probably missing like 20 or 30. You know, I would just be like, it's doing well, like it's doing better than what I thought, or something like that. You know, even though it's probably fake, you know, you can kind of like give yourself like positive encouragement words to be like, well, you know, it's not going, it's going well, you know, it's going well. It could be, it's going to be going a little bit better in a while, but it's going well. Try and see a way where you can tweak it a little to not be like bluntly honest, because those things that you're saying out loud, you're repeating it back to yourself and you're hearing it, and that can be like unmotivational for some people, or at least for me. It was like, sometimes it was like counterproductive, how it felt like hopeless. You know, it's like, oh, he's doing a lot of questions and like he's not getting them right, even though I'm not saying I'm not getting them right, but I understand now the concept of the rationale, and if I get presented again with the same question or a similar question, I will probably get it. And the way that I will verify that is that you can also go into the incorrect questions that you're doing and then redo them in separate days, at least like 3 days apart, where you probably will forget like the majority of it, but you will still retain the concepts of those questions, and you would see if you answer it properly this time. So that's like how I would manage myself, be like, oh well, I'm doing better now. So yeah, that's pretty much on that. And then my last tip is don't sacrifice sleep for your study. And that's crucial, because sleep is like primarily like one of the basic foundations for your learning to occur. If you have like a lack of sleep, then consolidation, which means like putting stuff from your short-term memory to long-term memory, is going to be affected. So by you sleeping less than 6 hours, or probably 6.5 hours, you're gonna be messing up a little with the way that you consolidate information, which then can further set you back towards your studying, and you're gonna be more desperate and more panicking and more having more negative thoughts, because like the things are not attaching the way that it should. And also knowing that like you might be overloaded already, and you need to see that and identify it and address it. You know, don't try and be like, oh well, I feel overworked, but oh well, it is what it is. You know, it's like, you know, because it's kind of like a machine. If you overheat it, it's just gonna stop working. It's just, I feel like it's the same with the human brain. Like if you overdo it, you're just gonna be so fatigued in the brain that you won't want to do anything anymore. So you want to know your limits and then set your boundaries there and try and work along your boundaries. Like don't try and like go 200 max the studying time they used to do just because you're studying for the NCLEX. Like it really doesn't work like that. Unless you're like want to take it as soon as possible and just want to cramp everything, then go for it. But when the time comes for the NCLEX, at least for me, it didn't feel like UWorld really did a lot for me in a sense. It was, I felt like when I went to the exam, like the questions I was getting and the ways that I was getting it didn't really feel like UWorld type. I don't know, at least for me. I felt like I was like shit. Like I feel like everything that I did just like went off the gate, and I'm here like solo doing it. That's probably one of the reasons why I got 135 questions more than likely, but because I would always get like multiple choice, free response, multiple choice, and I would be like, okay, I'm screwing it up, I'm doing well, I'm screwing it up, I'm doing well. So yeah. So yeah, those are like the basic things I would recommend for the NCLEX, and just knowing that it's another exam. When one of my preceptors told me once when I was 1 week away from taking the NCLEX, he told me like, you know, honestly, like it's just another exam. If you fail it, oh well, you can just retake it. You know, it's not the end of the world. It's not like a life or death situation. But he would say like so calmly that I would be like, well, yeah, that's true, but you know, I don't want to fail it. And nobody wants to fail it. Nobody goes to that exam like wanting to failing it. So, but you know, having that mentality that it's like it's not the end of the world. And once I was taking the exam, and once I passed the 100 question mark, I was like, you know what, like treat every question like it's the last question, and it's cool, man. Like it's cool, it's not the end of the world. So that's like the mentality that I had throughout the exam. Because for some people, if they pass 105 questions and they're not done, they're gonna be panicking and they're just gonna be like, you know what, screw this exam, and just jeopardizing now like their way to success. So just having like, you know, it's not the end of the world. I'm already here, I already paid, so might as well finish it strong, or at least like go out of the exam room thinking like I give it my all. I didn't like fizzle or go drop in my motivation. You know, I treated every question like it's my last question. So, and that's how I did, and then I got the good pop-up, and then I passed, so that's good, right? So yeah, and I guess like dealing a little bit with anxiety, that will be another one, but like everybody has their own ways. But whenever you're in the exam room, you cannot really have like special accommodations or anything. You know, it is what it is, and you have to suck it up. So if at school they're giving you all these special accommodations, just know that when the NCLEX comes, I don't know, you're miraculously gonna like already gonna be fine with having no type of accommodations. But if you normally have like accommodations, I would definitely recommend for you guys to like slow it down, reduce it or whatever, because that's not how the NCLEX is gonna be. You can be perfectly good at taking exams at your school because they're giving you all these special treatments or whatever. Whether it's like you're just taking the exam on your own because you can't deal well with test anxiety or whatever type of accommodations you have. When the NCLEX come, you don't have that type of luxury. So I don't find it to be productive for you to be like that, and then when the day comes of your actual exam that really matters 100% and it determines a lot of stuff from your future, to now you don't need any type of accommodations. I don't know if I'm making myself clear on that, but and it's not no type of hating or anything, but I did see it throughout like different semesters. They'll be like, they're having special accommodations. It's like, well, I mean, I get it, but you know, that's not how it's gonna be. And if, or at least the nursing program that I was in, they would always give you type of questions that would be in the NCLEX because they're prepping you for the NCLEX, but then they give you this type of special accommodations, and it's like, but they don't do that in the NCLEX, so it's like, so I found it to be like a little bit counterproductive on that aspect. It's like, okay, like you're gonna have to deal with it. So, or at least in the last semester, to have no accommodations because, you know, in a couple of months you're gonna be taking your NCLEX. So, and we all have like test anxiety, but like, you know, we all manage it differently. You know, we're all anxious, like actually they're in the field and everything, but just like controlling your emotions and controlling your moods and breathing exercises, I don't know, whatever you have, or the things that you can Google or ask other friends, you know, like how they manage their anxiety, because everybody has anxiety. I was having like hell a lot of anxiety, but I controlled it. I had like little pauses throughout my exam, would just be there and just be like breathing, and then just going one by one, and that's it, you know. And you have these little cool things that are like spacers things throughout each cubicle, which you can't see the other person, and you have like cool noise cancellation headphones that you can have to avoid like the clicking sound of everybody or people moving or stuff. So that's cool. But But yeah, you know, if you have to have any type of accommodation or you want to ask for any type of accommodation, I would really not go for it if you're pretty much in your last exams or last semesters, I would say, because you really have to get into that environment. You really have to get it, because when the time comes, then you're probably gonna break. It's like, oh crap, like I never been in this exam for so long, and there's a lot of people around me, because there was a lot of people around me. So have that at least in the back of your mind, and yeah, that's pretty much it, you know. And one day at a time, honestly, just trust the process and actually understand the rationales, and just try and go question by question, and that's it. You know, understand the rationales, or why that's the correct answer too, and why the other ones are not it. That's why it would probably take a while to go to each one, because I would be more time reading the rationales and the questions at the beginning. So after I would see like the actual results of like why that's option 1, 2, and 4 are not it, and why 3 is it, I'll be like, oh, okay. I would take more time reading the rationales than reading the first question, technically. And then I would just redo them. But yeah, just little by little. I'm probably gonna do like different types of these, because there's like more things I want to explain, but I don't want to put it into one video. But those are things like definitely I could see like it was like a really big game changer. That I was like, if I didn't have this type of disciplines or this type of mentalities throughout my studying, like I would probably like be more jeopardized. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. If you guys haven't followed me on Instagram, then do so you guys can message me and we can be like in communication and everything. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So you guys stood here until the end of this video. Thank you so much guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.